Accoutrements. Hello. I forgot to tell everybody that I became a published poet again. So 2 anthologies. This one was the most recent one was Freefall 2, which is the second anthology of the Bradford Poetry Foundation, and the other one back in time was the Beehive anthology, which is a poetry group that I go to sometimes in a pub called the Beehive in Bradford. A lot of Beehive people run this course, but it was taught by Gaia Holmes and Ed Rees. Ed Rees is a poet with a featured poet or something like that with the poetry business. The Sampsons. So this is a book, and there was a course, and we published a book after of it this year, and there was the launch recently. It's only £3, so if you get a chance to buy it, do. It's got an ISBN number and everything, although I don't think it'll be available on like all platforms or anything. I doubt it's on Amazon. But I sold 3 copies in the launch to people in the bar. ISBN 9780957675971. Ooh. So if you want to find it in the National Library, wherever it goes, you can. Kathy Bramley, that's me, obviously. Anyway, Time Lord. In each man is 1,000 streets. In each street, 1,000 stories. In each story is 1,000 words. In each word, an etymology. Etymology has 1,000,000 men, women, more. What's their stories? In each house is a grain of sand, hat stand, fabric and accoutrements. In each day is 1,000,000,000 moments to stand undoing knots. Sea of Okhotsk, Sea of Japan. I've read this somewhere else, so you don't need me to read that one again. Found. I picked up an umbrella, found, from the public umbrella stand. Found. I walked along with found protection in my hand. Found. I answered in an answer. Found, arising from a need. Found. I acted individually when my community had taken heed of me. "38°. If railways were run by enthusiasts, if fanatics funded fairs, depending on the kind, depending on the wares, if angels opened albums and showed us all the world, what would be their angle and the snapshot of our cares? I'd like to see an embracing of our hopes and dreams, our motivation, our skills, our need. To see an equitable distribution of who does what and where. I'm going to read Sea of Okhotsk, Sea of Japan, because just so it's all in one place. Sea of Okhotsk, Okhotsk, Sea of Japan. The mispronunciation is part of the poem, okay? True. The great curiosity of a Japanese-Russian archipelago. Sorry, the mispronunciation is part of this poem, but I do apologise for it. The great curiosity of a Japanese-Russian archipelago. Kolmsk, Yuzhno Sakhalinsk, Sakhalin to Hokkaido, Asahigawa, Sapporo. A red line tilde in La Perouse Strait. Each name is a key to the blank map of history. So I did find out more about it since I wrote that poem. Interesting, with different kind of like a specific ethnic group that live on the North Islands of Japan and in the Russian part of Japan, not Japan, of that archipelago, and the different dynamics as people were moved around and things. It's sort of strange but interesting to kind of see that dynamic in a completely other context. We don't have a monopoly on ethnocentrism. We've just been what we've been globally successful at being ourselves for the recent era, and it happened, or epoch, I guess. I don't know. Is the Queen Genghis Khan? Not our current one. I don't know. It doesn't, because of patriarchy and the way the system works. The violence is in the system, but it's also in the people as well. We could choices are preloaded to some extent, but they're not completely preloaded. Anyway, we're still responsible. Anyway, speaking of which, my next poem is political, and it might be a bit more difficult to absorb or get on with, I don't know. I'm thinking about skin tone as being like earth colours, because I was in the car driving from Yorkshire down to Cornwall, down to Devon, passing all the different soils and agricultural soils as we went past, but also thinking about places like Timbuktu with the giant UNESCO protected mosque that's awesome, that's kind of is it rammed earth, or it's a sort of secured soil structure, and that's like this most amazing looking thing, and so kind of like the engineering and creativity and styling of it are just awesome. And then there's like there is nothing unsophisticated about that use of mud, and there are libraries and things there, expertise that was hidden somewhere near to Timbuktu, to the point that people forgot about it, some of them anyway, because it was hidden from colonialism and the thief instinct that we had going on. And it allowed these narratives negative narratives to prevail in some ways. And I didn't like Paddington 2 because I thought it had transphobic jokes in there and kind of homophobic as well, although because it was this, it's one thing to be a camp actor as who you are, but it's another for a straight actor like Hugh Grant to play it up the thesp, to be a baddie in a kind of like cheesy carry-on campery sort of way, with all these like prisoners revolutionarised that should be a word, by pink and food and baking, by this bear bring out their soft side. It's just, oh, anyway, I'm not giving away too much, but also the debate around female expressions of sexuality that are what we want or that are catered to the male gaze, and when exotification comes into that as well, it's not necessarily constructive. So that's too much explanation for this poem, but it's anxious explanation. Don't hate me. Do hate me if you like, of course. You will anyway. Oh. But I care. Bleh, sorry, right. Car music and mud rainbows. Peru to Timbuktu. I don't know if Paddington would approve of Lady Marmalade. There that male gaze is staring harder at an empowered group of beverages. Like Paddington 2, it's not so much reclaiming as sticky old hat and rude. Mocha latte liquid bronze, thrown back vintage like shots, like loops of celluloid, stored in driest salt mine vaults. Oh, what better music for stomping girls in mud. Think festivals and refugees. Now dancing with Moana. Breathe. Car music and mud rainbows. Peru to Timbuktu to Hawaii. I don't know if Paddington would approve of Lady Marmalade. There that male gaze is staring harder at an empowered group of beverages. Like Paddington 2, it's not so much reclaiming as sticky old hat and rude. Mocha latte liquid bronze, thrown back vintage like shots, like loops of celluloid stored in driest salt mine vaults. Oh, what better music for stomping girls in mud. Think festivals and refugees. Now dancing with Moana. Breathe. Car music and mud rainbows. Peru to Timbuktu to Hawaii. I don't know if Paddington would approve of Lady Marmalade. There that male gaze is staring harder at an empowered group of beverages. Like Paddington 2, it's not so much reclaiming as sticky old hat and rude. Mocha latte, liquid bronze, thrown back vintage like shots, like loops of celluloid, stored in driest salt mine vaults. Oh, what better music for stomping girls in mud, think festivals and refugees. Now dancing with Moana. Breathe. And then there are some other good poets in here. D.C. Irving, Gaia Holmes, Lucy Bairstow, who is an actress who does and poet, who also does physical presentation work with spoken word poets, some big names I think. Mary Matsus, who's a local poet as well. And then there is Sci-Pi, Simon Hopker, who does local turns on in terms of poetry round and about, poems for £1 and things like that, and he's developing his work as well. And Deborah Sterling, and Andy Manning, who runs the poetry event at Undercliff Cemetery in Bradford. And I think Ed, but I think I've flicked past him as I've flicked through. Yes, Ed Reese is in here as well. So there's a good selection of poetry in here. Lots of different styles. Yeah, and only £3, which has to be worth it if you can get your hands on it. Anyway, sorry, speaking too long, way too long, but yeah. The ones that were published in the Beehive anthology, it's called Shadow Chest, and that's got an ISBN number. It's the first one to have an ISBN number as well, so that should be in the National Libraries as well. It's got I think it's got Working Class Glamour in it, and a poem about that ends with the ending line, fabric of idol. City Hall Workshop it was called. And then I think there was something else. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Can't remember. It's like just there. It's just on the tip of your memory, and it's like, anyway.